The original gentleman continued. So, all of a sudden, a few months ago, that ship right there, then he points at the ship, just shows up out of nowhere and drops anchor. Nobody comes, nobody goes, that's it. I look at both of them and raise an eyebrow, and they look at me like I believe them but don't believe them. And then I jump right into the question. So, who wants to go with me and see the ship? They both backed up and stumbled on some rusting exposed steel before regaining their composure. Never mind, I said, trying not to chuckle. We're slated to be with you guys another day or two. If we get this loot to your zone's operating area, can we borrow a Zodiac and check out the ship, please? We can still get wrapped up and be back in time. They looked at me for a second, embarrassed, then one of them glared to overcompensate. I half expected some kind of comment about how I wasn't wearing a fixed blade on the front of my kit or something, which made me less combat effective. I simply didn't like to have a knife on me where someone could easily grab it. If it was hanging out easy for me to grab, it would be just as easy for anyone else. That's why I had varying sizes of folders tucked away and my concealed fixed blade right where I needed it if I ever did. They could make the argument that we were all carrying our sidearms, but most of us had holsters that had a two-stage draw system that made them extremely clumsy for anyone other than us to draw them. By the time someone tried to grab the pistol and failed, they would have to answer to the blade, after which they would be dispatched within a few seconds of being able to take a step back and safely drawing. This same blade argument was constantly had on ships, and I saw him eyeing me as I thought through the discussion. He really wanted to deflect his embarrassment somehow, even though he didn't need to. I could see it now. Well, what if something caught my left arm? I wouldn't have anything to cut with. I needed to have a knife centrally so I could grab it in the V-shape I made with my hands. Yeah, in a perfect world where nobody would try to grab it, I thought in my head, reflecting my thoughts inward. I thought quickly and started fiddling with my gear and did a quick gear check to make sure I had everything. Everyone else sensed the moment and started gear checking as well. This eased the tension of the situation. One of the people on the other team thought for a second and said, Actually, come to think about it, the ship actually has been on our to-do list to clear for a while. You would go clear it for us? You actually want to go out there? You bet, I responded. I don't know much about ships, but it seems nice and quiet, and radio should reach out that far. Let's haul this stuff back and get the Zodiac. I'll go take a look out there unless someone else wants to come with me. I looked around and everyone looked at me like I was joking. I thought we were a team, I said sarcastically as I could. Well, we are a team, but none of us are Marines or Navy or even Coast Guard. We don't get on boats unless we have to. They all laughed. I guess it was more military humor. Then they said, we definitely have some guys that fit some of those criteria at base, though. So I said, okay, I tell you what, let's take this stuff back to the vehicles and get the Zodiac. Then I'll set out to the ship with some supplies. You guys can go back to base and try to see if there are any Navy or Marines or Coast Guard or salty fisher folk that would want to come hang out with me tomorrow. I'll secure the site this afternoon, get some rest, then tomorrow work with whoever shows up on trying to salvage it. Sounds good, they said, and I looked at our CO and he shrugged and nodded, and that's all it took was for approval and a plan. So, we got the loot back to the trucks, and there was an entire case of AR and 7.62 ammo, case combo, prepper meals, and some various night vision equipment, including some very high-end looking nods, IR lasers, and matching scopes. I saw some 5.56 ammo in there and thought about asking for a box, but I probably had enough. I always traveled with 6 loaded mags plus one on my rifle and about half a box in my pack. Plus, they said nobody had come or gone from the ship since they'd noticed it, so I wouldn't need more ammo. Everything would be fine. I was like a one-man recon patrol, so I'd go in light. Looking at the big loot pile, there was enough to share between both teams. This lightened the mood significantly. There were even a couple pairs of binoculars in that crate, and they knew I didn't have a pair that worked with glasses, so they gave them to me. I checked it out and felt the weight and put it in my bag. I handed back my prior pair, which were decent, but made me go cross-eyed. Someone else with better eyes that knew how to focus the lenses could put them to better use. The pair I had could fold in to be compact and were about 4 times power. They were very durable, but just didn't work very well for my glasses. This new pair, however, was amazing. After the gear was all loaded, they helped me get the Zodiac to an old concrete launch pad and helped me get it set up. They had an air compressor that they powered off a portable car battery jump starter that made it super easy. The Zodiac had a decent little 4-stroke motor on it, and they showed me how to use it. I always had my 72-hour bag with me, so I was ready to go. Before I left, though, one of the guys said, "Here, take these." He tossed me 4 prepper combo meals. I thought that was very cool of him, considering we just got half a case of them. I didn't look to see which ones they were because I wanted it to be a surprise. This way I could save some of my food for emergencies. Thanks so much, this is awesome. I wasn't worried about water because I carried various water purification systems with me, so this food was really great. I put the food in my bag too. I always kept a little room in case of extra goodies I might find. I did a quick radio check with them. They responded. We all nodded, and away I went. Chapter 4, to the yacht. Midday, day 1. As I motored my way to the ship, I realized over the water that objects over the water are always like 4 times further than they appear. Also that it's colder over the water. I tucked the throttle grip under my arm and dug through my backpack to get my snow hat. I found it near the bottom and put it on, then put my contractor cap away. Would hate to have my beloved cap blow away, as caps often did on boats. There were now a few things laying on a bench of the boat that I had to take out. The combo meals were trying to slide off, so I put those in my bag. The binoculars were there too. I carefully unpackaged them and in between looking ahead and found the strap, put it around my neck. There. They are now secure and not taking up room in my pack, I thought to myself. Shit. Crap. Then I zipped up my pack and put it over my back. That helped a lot. I zipped up my thermal hoodie, which involved trying to maneuver the hood under the binocular strap. I curled my hood under and eventually got the strap on the outside of my hood. I pulled my hood up over my snow hat after that and drew the straps tight. I was much warmer now than I realized. I didn't have a life jacket on. I thought for a second and realized it didn't matter because it wasn't like anyone could save me. Oh, and the Pacific Ocean was cold. That's also why I had my backpack on. I never really took it off. Setting it down even for a second meant it could get lost, forgotten, or stolen. When I was in high school, kids loved to steal backpacks. As I got older, people liked to leave backpacks around with bombs in them, or they would pull fire alarms, so there would be mass shootings. So I basically wore my backpack everywhere. I hated being without it. It had always been my get-home bag. It stayed with me everywhere because, It stayed with me everywhere because who knows if the fire department said, "You can't go back in the building," then I'd be stuck. I could never be stuck. I always needed a way out. If I was going to be in the water, I was dead anyway. I remember staring in between the docks at the Puget Sound as a kid, thinking if I fell in, I would literally be instantly killed, and nobody would dare come in after me. Barnacles everywhere had made the experience extra frightening as a child. What logic said was only water looked like liquid death surrounded by nature's barbed wire. The funny thing is, it was the same water as all the other parts of the water that we just walked right in. That was 50 or so degrees, so I thought about it and chuckled to myself, wondering in the present if a sneaker wave was going to come out of nowhere and high-five me to my perceived instant death. I chuckled again and kept puttering along, realized I'd never even driven a boat or raft alone before. Several times with others, never alone, and yet here I was. Welcome to the new normal. I realized I had the new binoculars around my neck and decided to look at the ship since I was a little bit closer. So, with that, I zoomed in with my binos. I looked up top first to see if the radio antenna was rotating around, and it was not. I guess that means no power. I looked up to see if the port anchor was up, and it still was. I assumed that the starboard anchor was down since Port was facing towards the beach, and the waves would be trying to pull the vessel in.